All right. Looks like we're live. Good evening, ladies and gents, non-binary, interplanetary, intergalactic time travelers. We salute you. I'm Oliver, and I'm in a bunker I call Studio 72 in the People's Republic, deep behind enemy lines, if you will. Sounds good on paper. I also like the phrase Republic of Multnomah County. You know, that decentralization is appealing to me. That's something, being a Pacific Party member, third party here in Oregon 30 years back, we had kind of libertarian core principles. That's how we kind of came about at it. And it was kind of less government, decentralized, power to the county. So the county is making decisions rather than this top-down dictate coming from out of state, even in the state. So, you know, it's kind of interesting how these political ideologies, how these different dynamics come into play and how they inspire political parties and third parties sometimes. You don't hear a lot about real third party development much. If you notice that, it kind of shifted. And the last several years, 10 years, that the politics here in the States, the use of terms has been widely used in messaging, but really wasn't accurate in what it represented. Wasn't really accurate in what it actually is, what it consists of, or what it means. So, I mean, you know, we could get into all kinds of deep dive trying to unravel what all these different meanings. I think we should, actually. We don't have to do that now, but although we could. I mean, it's whatever you guys want to talk about. It's kind of an open forum. I'm not really doing a workshop or a lecture tonight. I'm just kind of doing, you know, a discussion. Let's analyze. Let's talk politics. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk politics. Well, that's one thing that's interesting to me, and I'm just freestyling. I don't even have PowerPoints. I do have this one paragraph up about definitions, capitalism, communism. Fernando Luna. Hi, good to see you. Thanks for coming down, guys. I do have one little paragraph. I don't even have to read it. But you know, it's kind of interesting because a part of me wants to be super critical and like, I don't want to be some boomer dick, you know, because I'm not. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm a third party advocate my whole life, been independent third party. We were Pacific Party in Oregon. Then we became Pacific Green in 1996 with Ralph Nader. So I kind of feel like I'm a part of that spark, that magic that kind of really got things going for younger generations to question these establishment parties, these establishment identities. But we're kind of in a different area now. Rosie Soles, good to see you. Thanks for coming down. SCP-096. Antonio Agosto, W8. Good to see you. As I was saying, I'm Oliver. I'm in the should I say peoples? I'm in the Republic of Multnomah County. And so we're just freestyling. If you have any thoughts about politics, have you followed the elections in New York? Do you care? Let me backpedal there. And as I always say, freestyle, it's just how I make up for my brains going 1,000 miles a minute like a wildfire. And so it sounds good when I say freestyling, like, yeah, man, I'm spitting rhymes. I'm really not. It's a wildfire right up here in this head. But, you know, I've been digesting all of these different political elections and things that have been this whole year has really been like one long psychological operation, hasn't it? I mean, at least for me. I mean, just seeing all of this different, watching MAGA implode in a coup with MEGA, I call it Making Israel Great Again. There's still the American First umbrella, but there's all this infighting. We're seeing some similar type of dynamics and developments with the Democrat Party. And we actually saw that with Bernie Sanders. And A lot of you younger folks, they don't know that we actually started this with Ralph Nader, who was the boomer. He is a boomer. The boomer, although we kind of lost Ralph, but he had some really good ideas. Bro, half Vitramite. Fernando, good to see you guys. Good to see you guys coming in. It's interesting because politics are so boring to most people. People have really checked out, and we're seeing the consequences of people checking out. They're walking away from the political system. They're not voting. And we're seeing that here in Oregon. We're seeing it here in Portland, where we're getting something like 3 million registered active voters in Oregon. People think we're bigger than we really are. We're not a very big state. Out of 3 million, only 2 or less than 2 million are even voting. And they got their ballot sent to their house. It comes right in the mailbox. You don't even have to put a motherfucking stamp on it here in Oregon. You just got to open it, fill it out, and sign the outside, and just put the mofo in it. You can put it in a box. You can put it in the mailbox. The UPS will take it for free. They're not doing it. That tells us we can break down the psychology of it. Sire height. I subscribe. Thank you. I appreciate it. It helps. I've never had big ambitions of making money or being a subscriber. I'm a professional painter. I'm an oil painter. This is one of my favorite Egyptian hieroglyphic pieces one of my more recent. Basically, it hasn't sold, so I'd like it to sell. I'd be like, goodbye, favorite Egyptian piece. But art sales are down. When the economy goes down, the artists take it in the shorts. Do you know Conquest? Fernando says, do you know Conquest? Is that a game, Conquest? What do you mean? Conquest. But it's interesting to me, what I'm intrigued about most, and I don't really want to shred anybody. I want to I'm trying to present this as I'm kind of like a neutral dude analyzing this. But I also want to give my background because it's really important. I've never voted Democrat. I don't vote Republican. I did vote for Trump, and I did vote down ticket for the first time in my life for Republicans in Oregon. I've always advocated libertarian, independent. Like I said, I've been with the Pacific, or I was with the Pacific Party. I left them years ago, or I should say they left me. We had Marxist communist kind of coup want to come in with this gender identity politics. They created this Lavender Caucus. The Lavender Caucus, it's a wonderful idea in theory. Gay and lesbian, advocating for trans people and this whole thing 10 years ago. And we really steered away from even talking about the environment and went into this kind of social thing. And then what the Democrats did, Bernie Sanders in 2016 stole Dr. Jill Stein's ideas that she was presenting in platform, and Rep. AOC, who she was kind of spouting DSA type of language and stuff like this. They took that and then they twisted it, morphed the Green New Deal into meaning we have 7 years left. We got to eat the babies. We got to eat the babies. It's going to be doom and gloom. This is Rep. AOC at public forums. We got people standing up. We got to eat the babies. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened? What the fuck happened to America? What happened? And that was so, and it was like trying to correct the record was impossible because the Green New Deal, when you have corporate money like Rep. AOC had, they were able to steal those Green New Deal ideas and turn it into these weird mandates like all cars had to go and only EV electric vehicle cars were acceptable. And those are $100,000, right? And so all us working class folks or artists, which I don't even know if you could call us working class. We're kind of below working class, right? It's like, what the fuck are we? The artists, we are nobody. Don't ever forget that. You are nobody. No, well, you're somebody. But this whole weird cow farts. I mean, it's like I cringed every single time Rep AOC opened her mouth. Cow farts? And then she starts in, if you remember this, I don't know if you guys even followed this, is she starts in, what do we got? Hensel Shaki Shiku Shushu said hi, good. And then he says, shut these SMs up. Okay, well, good. You're probably with DSA. You sound like a high IQ DSA operative. She was talking about cow farts, and then she's saying she wants to come for their cheeseburgers. She's telling America, I'm coming for your bacon. You can't have bacon anymore. I'm coming for your cheeseburgers. You can't have cheeseburgers anymore because the cow farts. It's the cow farts. That's the crisis of climate change. That's what's making it rain or not rain. Even worse, the cow farts are making it not rain. Oh my God. And this insanity of triggering these young, impressionable minds, we can break down that psychology of it. We can go into a deeper dive. We don't have to do that now, but we need to at least be breaking down the psychoanalysis of these younger youths. They're important to me. They've always been important. I was a crisis counselor for youth 25 years ago. That's how important it was for me. That's how important that I felt like the younger generations were and are today. It's the future. So it intrigues me. It's very intriguing to me as a Gen Xer who's been an independent my whole life. When I hear these younger generations of Zoomers, with a Z, Zoomers, when I hear the millennials talking about politics and getting organized and going out and registering people to vote, it's like, that's it. That's the key. And then you've got some other people on the other side, kind of operatives, just like groypers, kind of throw out some stuff. Nick Fuentes. These type of, little more kind of ultra nationalists, but yet, with different type of isolationist type of feelings, which we saw a lot more of that in Trump's first term. It seems like these guys kind of percoled to the surface of that. That's not the right messaging in my world. And in fact, it's horrible. It's horrific messaging. What the best messaging is what happened here in 2024. Was Trump reaching out to urban communities of color, Trump reaching out to the rapping communities, reaching out where they're doing rap music and rap songs about Trump. Some of you may not remember that. Maybe nobody does. Maybe nobody cares. I don't know. But does Trump even know he was doing that? I mean, that's where we're at now. It's just kind of like, does Donnie, I call him Donnie, does Donnie even know what the MO was? I mean, he obviously doesn't care, or has there been a glitch? For a while there, I thought maybe he was demon possessed, because demon possessions can come and go. I've seen that with people doing crisis counseling, working the streets with people that clearly, I would say they're demon possessed. Some of them may have some substance abuse problems. A lot of them are just mentally ill or demon possessed. Has Trump been overcome by, a lot of these Third Temple folks in the Middle East, the Third Temple, the stuff that they talk about and these practices, when you study it, it's witchcraft. You read the Bible and you read these ceremonies, this sacrifice, these altars, the child sacrifice, Cain and Abel in the Old Testament. I mean, you go back and it's like, whoa, what the hell's going on? And there is that element to what's happening there in the Middle East. So that's a side note. We don't have to do, but that's playing a key part of it. Because what I kept hearing from the DSA, these so-called socialists, these socialists in New York that won their primary races, their seats. Well, they haven't won the seats. But they more than likely are going to be seated because you're talking about deep blue, Bronx, Brooklyn, you're talking about these areas that's where Rep AOC, this whole organization where they're talking about it's a mix. The one thing I want to avoid is generalizations. It's really a mixed bag. But the DSA, they're not democratic, are they? They're not socialists, are they? Not really. And so I've been dealing with these, I call them anarcho-comms. Anarchist, communist, anarcho-comms. And then there's ANCAPs, where you've got anarchists that are more capitalists that want to reform the existing system. You don't hear a lot from these guys anymore. But I'm old enough to know that I had friends that were anarchist capitalists. They weren't communists. We didn't like communism. We didn't like authority and that authoritarian top-down centralized structure. And that's really the essence of what these political ideologies are about. It's top down. Now, DSA, I've been dealing with that title here in Portland for at least 10 years with 2016. And that's what we heard with Bernie Sanders. I've mentioned that. Now, Ralph Nader, the boomer Ralph Nader and the stuff he was talking about in 1996 and 2000, we weren't talking about socialism. We weren't talking about communism. We were talking about common sense stuff. We were talking about corporate welfare. We were talking about reining in these corporations, and we were talking about people power and workers' power, but not in the sense that it's been co-opted into meaning this communist collective. It was very different, and it was much more of a broader agenda, which we could only pull in. I think Nader pulled in 4% nationally. And it failed miserably. We got squashed because the establishment propaganda just squashed Ralph Nader. And they spun things. They said Nader cost the elections in Florida. I mean, all this bullshit that none of it was true. But they were telling America that it was true, and Americans were believing it. And we're seeing the same type of psychological games, these psyops in play now. For example, the New York, with this DSA, you've got folks that think they're equating this DSA. It's not a party. DSA is not a party. It doesn't have ballot access. A political party has ballot access. These guys are outflanking and co-opting the Democrat Party. They're running as Democrats. They're running under the corporate establishment umbrella. This is the psyops that Bernie Sanders started. Bernie Sanders, the king of grifters, multiple million-dollar mansions, multiple book deals. Our revolution was Bernie's real estate deal revolution. And this guy was the number one bundler for corporate executive Democrats, the corporate establishment Democrats, for 20 years. And he come out and he's saying, no, we're different, we're doing this. And then what did Bernie do? He came in and he siphoned he sold out all of his base. He sold out 15 million burners in our revolution and endorsed the Queen warmonger, Secretary Hillary Clinton. He steered them all into her. And he go on CNN and said, oh my God, we can't let these Republicans get in there. It's best. It's the lesser evil. That's all we've got. We're doomed. It's all this crap. That's the fraud. That's what I think 10 years ago, a lot of these folks that are 20 years old, they were 10 years old. These 20-year-olds in New York with this DSA, all of this, they were too young to even understand Bernie Sanders, the grifter. Vash, the cod drunk in 79. Any party that's not Republican isn't American. I grew up hearing about how great Democrats were in elementary. As an adult, I'm disturbed how many people in schools don't just teach facts. Amen. Amen. Well said, Vash. Well said. I like that. I would argue that maybe a good chunk of the Republicans aren't really sounding American to me. That's why I like the American First umbrella. Because with Maha and Bobby Jr., Bobby Jr. tried to do a Ralph Nader. What I mean by that is RFK Jr., he tried to outflank. He tried to do it outside, and it cost him, I think it was $100 million in legal fees, fighting for ballot access. He had to be an independent on some. He had to do this on others. They squashed him. And so I got to back up on that. My memory's even gotten a little foggy on that. He tried running on the inside. They squashed him and fucked with him. And then he was pushed out into the outside to try to do it as an independent, right? Yeah, I got to backstep that a little bit. And Maha brought in those disgruntled Democrats. Maha brought those in. So that American First, just like we saw in 2016, those 12 to 15 million burners, they were so pissed at the corruption of Secretary Hillary Clinton, they voted for Trump. They voted for Trump the first term. And mainstream media wanted to avoid that. Nobody wanted to talk about that populist movement that absorbed those young Democrat primary voters. I noticed it. I'm in the third party business. My radar was all over it. And I found that very, very profound. Now, one could argue that the burners in 2016 were so pissed that they voted Trump out of spite. Just say, you, Clinton. I mean, that's how much disdain for the Clintons and all these, the Bushes, all these establishment hacks, these legacy families. It's just outrageous. And it's driving people to the point where they're not voting, or they're considering socialist communist type of ideas, even if it means embracing Islamic type of communism. And that's really is what I think is at the core with this Zohran Mamdani. I'm not an Islamic phobe. You guys can choke on that, all right? That's not what I'm about, okay? I'm not xenophobic either, actually. Although we do need borders. So I'm not for open borders. That's a huge thing that is the agenda, is to open up those borders so we can flood and fly in. 20 million people came in under Biden, trying to get 20 million. They thought they could get those voters. What they didn't understand is that Trump's outreach did do record numbers in the Latino communities, in Texas, in Florida. The Cuban Americans, huge proportions in Florida for Trump, 2024. They didn't necessarily care or really account for that. They just wanted to flood them in. They were flying them in. Everyone always thought that the migration was happening at the border. Yes, we saw the caravans. Yes, we saw hundreds of thousands of them go. What's not talked about is the Catholic Charities airplanes from Guatemala, from all over. The Hebrew HIAS, the Hebrew groups, sending these folks up into America to change the face of America. And that is at the core and the essence of this DSA, which is, in New York at least, Islamic communism. And I heard Trump say that today, and I thought, man, I was just talking in my mind. I was talking in my mind. I was just thinking out loud, right? I was talking about it. I go, it's not Democrat. They're not socialists. What really is at the core is Marxist ideas. And so socialism was a part of that transition that Marx talked about, from going from against capitalism into a communist structure of Marxism. Am I wrong? Southern Republic, Vash. Vash says Southern Republic, bingo. Vash, were Democrats raised by Republicans, and that why Southern Republicans are so mixed? It could be. Now, you got to remember, people, this is the other thing that gets left out of this whole white supremacy framing, because I heard that several times on victory speeches on the mainstream media last night. Is this, and we've been hearing it for 10 fucking years, Dad, right? No, longer than that, boss. A good 10 years, but a good 10 years. white supremacy this, white supremacy that. The white people are the bad people. It sparks and it's fueling, I believe, a social engineered race war. That's my personal belief on that. And if we could do a deep dive on that, we don't have to. But there does need a bigger psychoanalysis. What I wanted to say, Vash triggered my mind, my stream of conscious, my mind's going 1,000 miles. I'm sorry, bear with me, is the Dixiecrats. Dixiecrats. These were pro-slavery Democrats. These were those that wore white hoods, right? The little spooks with the eyeballs cut out. Those were Democrats. Those were Dixiecrats. So, Vash, I'm not sure if that's what you meant. You're doing some deep thinking, and I really like you contributing to that. Thank you for that. It's really important. It gets me thinking, and I love the psychoanalysis of it, because that's really what I don't want this about. I don't have a script. I got one paragraph here that I could spray out some stuff to add to the discussion. But this is, I want to hear the thoughts. I need the input. This is kind of, I should start doing more just like open chat. I should write just like open chat in the header. Because there's a whole bunch of astrological things that are happening this weekend. It looks like carnage. I actually think there's going to be some sort of military payback or revenge. I also see some sort of, part of this is astrology. Part of it is my intuition. I have a lot of psychic intuition. It's not always accurate, but I feel like there's going to be some sort of political hit or assassination. I don't know if that's more like Soleimani, ill-conceived type of wax from USA. I feel like more on coming America's the victim, and where it's an attack on us. We've already been warned. We've been threatened here for weeks that you guys need a 9/11 that's going to bring you around, and you're going to realize who your enemies are. Damn it. This is nothing. This is not about Gaza and us. We're the good guys, right? That's what these guys are. I call them third temple. Now they're trying to build a third temple, and it's like, you guys aren't building temples. You're digging graves, and you're burying women and children, and that's not okay. I fully on that thought. I fully side with the folks protesting that genocidal massacre in Gaza, now Lebanese. Now it's 5,000 Lebanese, mostly Christians. That's not an ally. That's not any religious Judeo-Christian alliance. What the fuck is that? That's the kind of activity in the Bible that God said, F you, and he flooded them. He said, F you, you're gone. That was God's preaching in the scripture. Nothing to do with you're going to join us, you're going to hell, and you're satanic, and you're un-American if you don't side with this genocidal slaughter of Gaza. What the fuck? 80,000 people slaughtered, 40 or 50,000 are women and children in low-income housing in Gaza? No, not okay. But with that said, I'll side with you because it's the Christian thing to do. I would even argue it's beyond just a Christian thing to do. It is a humanitarian, ethical thing to do. It's ridiculous. Now we see with 12 different countries all being bombed and hit with exploding pagers and exploding drones and massacring, taking axes to the Jesus statues in Lebanon. It's all on video, guys. It's not a conspiracy. This isn't something made up with anti-Semite, some ranting anti-Semite in a bunker in Portland. No, we've got you on video. We've got you on photographs. We see what you're doing. So don't call us anti-Semitic. And you want to break down that word, Palestinians are Semites. Everybody in that region are Semites. Israel is anti-Semitic by slaughtering Gazan women and children. You want to get technical with breaking down the words. Just like we're getting technical tonight, you're not socialists. You are communists. And I think you're creating with this Zoran guy, this smiling guy that reminds me of a serial killer. I never trust people that smile all the time like Mamdani. He has this, like, I've been taking bong rips all morning, thin slit eye. I'm sure he's doing some ganja. I love ganja. I'm an advocate of cannabis. Cannabis is wonderful for many different things. It's got medicinal stuff. I'm making fun of his demeanor where it's a facade. Zoran has these little bong, I've been smoking bong rips all morning, slanted eyes, and he's got this smile on his You see him all over the press yesterday. He's just, he's a little slanty. You can't even see his pupils. You can't even see his eyeballs. They're completely slanted, completely slitted out. And he's just smiling and laughing. Yes, okay. They're now going to call him the Kingmaker. Yes, okay. 3 or 4 of his people that they've all boosted in New York. They got 14,000 so-called, I call them anarcho-communists. They might be Islamic communists. I'm not really sure. And I want to back up on the framing because it's a collective. This DSA is not a third party. This DSA is not even really a movement. It is this bizarre kind of coup-like collective that is exploding inside the establishment Democrat Party. I don't have a problem with that part. I hate Democrats. We all hate establishment Democrats. Maybe that's too hard of a word. Oh, bro, don't say hate. Okay, we loathe, all right? We reject. We rebuke you in the name of Jesus. How about that? We rebuke you, Democrats, establishment Democrats. But the Psyops is these people that are calling themselves different things. Socialists. Like somehow wanting cheaper rent is socialism? Somehow wanting cheaper subway fares is socialism? No. We're in a free market capitalist society. This is capitalist, not socialism. We don't want failed communist type of structures. Why? Because it's centralized. We want decentralized government. We want decentralized life, where we have our own religion, our own beliefs, and the freedom to do so. We're not going to be attacked by masked men at a protest like we've seen and been through for 10 years. By anarcho-communists. If you hear a little bit of PTSD from me, it's because I'm from Portland, Oregon. I'm 54 years old. I've been here my whole life. I've seen anarchy. I've been in protests standing side by side with anarchist capitalists protesting Bush when they called us Little Beirut. George Bush called us Little Beirut. Because of protests, because we were protesting the Bush family. So we have common ground. That's that one mantra, you know. And I was even kind of dropping in on the NBC chats, like all these election little tickers, you know, that were coming in when all the results last night were coming in. I was getting into the chats here. I'm sorry, Vash. Thanks for keep writing, brother. I'm just, my brain's just going 100,000 miles a minute. Okay, let me back up here because I missed you, brother. And now the South is Republican, yet it was literally the Democrat nation that started the Civil War for slaves. Then Republicans won and took the land and made it commercial, not slave states. Yes. So, and what's really interesting about that note and key point of history that you point out, my friend, is that Abraham Lincoln with the Republicans were a third party. Republicans were like the Whigs, or like the Bull Moose Party from Teddy Roosevelt. The Republicans were not establishment hacks. They were not the neocon hacks like today. Okay? So that's where I am taking and sending my energy psychologically, psychically, emotionally, physically, sending that energy out to common ground. for America first. We're not Republicans. Clearly, we're not Republicans. Although, just like these DSA operatives, we're being forced to work within this two-party tyranny. This is what we're revolting. So we've got this inside kind of third-party coup. I don't even use the word left or right, but it's hard to discuss this shit without it. Abraham Lincoln was a third party, and you know that, Bash, because you know your damn history, sir. And then you say you're actually true. The Middle East don't care about real history, just the parts they like. Absolutely. No. I don't agree with any religion. No. Work and receive and get free shit or free food or anything free besides help me, help you shit. Okay, Vash, I respect that. We differ a little bit different there. I embrace that Christian beliefs, and I've lived my life that way, where we don't pursue the greed and the lust for money and the lust for a bunch of shit we don't need and we can't take into heaven. That's biblical scripture. And we feed my children. Jesus says, feed the sheep, feed my children. So I take on more of, I don't look at it as free shit. I look at it as taking care of people that need help. But, you know, that's some people go, dude, you sound like a whiny fucking liberal motherfucker. I'm like, all right, call me whatever you want. I just don't fit into the mainstream of it. And then Roman, 2H, 5H, let's just go Roman. You do know that the Democrats and Republicans swapped, right? That is very remarkable comment. I love that. Did they swap? I think you're right on some level. I think there was something happened. We can't rule out in the analysis, and we should entertain that comment more. I want to come back to that, Roman. We can't rule out the uniparty. We can't rule out this establishment hack that's controlling us. And it's very difficult to talk about the corruption of Congress by the Third Temple folks, right? These are the Third Temple folks that are attacking 12 different countries, blowing people up with pagers. I mean, what kind of fucking psychotic thing is that? You're going to blow people up and blow their children up sitting on your lap with a pager? This Where's Daddy campaign of blowing up children's fathers? Assassinations throughout Iran? Hundreds of their leaders massacred by internal spies pretending to be Iranian? We are dealing with some diabolical shit here, brothers and sisters. And it's very difficult to talk about it because you're immediately framed as this anti-Semite. Oh, you! There it is. You! It's not the case. It's not the case because I love Judaist people. I have deep religious roots, not as a Jew, and it's not my bloodline, but I've had several Judaist girlfriends. I refer to a couple of them as ex-wives because I never really technically got married, but I had like 3 or 4 LTRs, long-term relationships. I didn't really realize it. This is going to sound totally fucking bizarre, but this will actually help kind of rationalize my headspace of how detached I am from the whole concept of Semites and anti-Semite and Jew hating. I hadn't even realized that these special lady friends, ex-wives, I'm going all the way back to 25 years, maybe even a little bit longer, in the Osberg days when I was knocking on doors for Ralph Nader's Public Interest Research Group. They were all Judaist girls. They weren't practicing Judaism, but they had Judaist bloodline. And I was like, what? This is like a recent type of like, wait, what? it's like, okay, Mrs. Robley's dad was Jewish. And I'm like, okay, wait, Lacey's family was Jewish in Alaska. None of them were practicing Judaism. It was just like, I hadn't really realized. And then I had this crazy thought. I was like, what if they were all honeypots? What if for the last 25 years, instead of exploding pagers, they have sent me these wonderful, amazing honeypots, these Israeli-sponsored honeypots, to capture my heart, soul, and mind. It was a joke, right? But in my head, I was like, wait, what? I don't know. I got to think about it deeper. We don't have to do it here. This doesn't have to be my therapy session with you. But, it's like, I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, what? And then I thought for a second, I was like, what if is there a spiritual higher meaning to that? It's like the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost, been singing me these like gorgeous, sexy, just beautiful, awesome Judaist women, young, because I was young. They weren't like super younger than me. We were the same ages, but I don't know. It's a side note. I'm sorry. I digress. I've been getting lost in that going, wait, what? Okay. So Vash says, grew up with multiple religions and not all, but the ones I seen always push their BS, not real facts. I agree. Listen, the Pentecostal shit, my dad up in Idaho, man, they speak in tongues. They're rolling around, flopping around, and like they're demon possessed. But they call it being slain in the spirit, the assembly of God. I actually refer to escaping that Idaho. My dad still lives up there, but separated early on. My mother, she said she was kidnapped, and then so she took us all out. I was like, kidnapped? That's a pretty harsh word, She was kidnapped for Christ, right? It was a Christian kidnapping. I mean, I was like, whoa. Like today, you're kind of like, well, that could be. And I was like, well, back then, it's like, that didn't sound right. And there was a lot of corruption. In fact, the preacher's daughters were the craziest women doing very unchristian things. So I hear you with that. But Roman is so real. Man, Roman fucking drilled it, man. That's why I said the Republicans took the South, but more like 1,000 people for it. 1K for it. 6 million people of a different party. Yeah, it's very, very interesting I look back and I keep having these flashbacks of Ralph Nader days. I hadn't thought about it for quite a while. And then Bernie Sanders. And I saw Bernie Sanders come through and pull in. He was like such a rock star to these people. And I hated him. I hated him because I've been following him for 20 years, being the biggest Democrat DNC bundler of the entire batch of Democrats. And he's an independent. Oh, bullshit. Just like the DSA or Socialist. Oh, bullshit. You guys are fucking Marxist communists. At least at the core of that. Socialism. What is socialism? Should I read the paragraphs? We really don't need to read it, do we? We can just do the freestyle. What is this socialism? Socialism. I've had art galleries and art collectives where I've had up to 50, 100 different artists all working monthly art shows. We did music bands every single month right here in Portland. On Belmont, we were the Blue Catfish Studios. Now and then I was the Blue Zen Project. That was kind of more of an art gallery handle. And then now I'm back to the Aqua Blue Lounge. I started Aqua Blue Lounge in the mid 90s. And that was just because I had this house with about 4 or 5 bedrooms. And at one point, Jerry Garcia, the Grateful Dead's playing at Portland Meadows, 1996. It's the last time they were in Portland before Jerry died. And I had 15 people living in my house. I think there was only 4 people that was even getting rent from. I had people in the basement. I had tents in the backyard, all young hippies, kids, young people who weren't hippies. They were like reliving the hippies. I guess. I don't know what the fuck we were doing. It was Grateful Dead was on tour, right? You know, it was a different time here in Portland in 1995, 96. But Roman, I was raised Christian. Yeah, I was brought into it as a youngster, but am agnostic. I think you mean atheist. Atheist here now. I started doubting God was real when I found out Santa didn't exist. Now I know you're doing one-liners like me. I like a good sense of humor, man. If we don't have humor, we're gonna go into a deep depressive funk. I can tell you that right now. And we don't need that. You know, we don't need that. There's no need for it. Because why be depressed about anything that's going on in our lives when we have a higher creative spiritual power with us? No matter what. No matter what. You know, I'm being outpriced. I can't afford the rent. The rent goes up every year here. And I can't even afford my rent. I'm being ran out of my own hometown of Portland. For real. Not like sorta. I mean, literally. And it's brutal. It's really brutal because I spent years helping the houseless, you know, homeless, houseless downtown. And now I'm like looking at it in just total shambles and despair. But I'm looking at, man, that's going to be me if there isn't something done. Epidemic, literally, bro, you're asking. Oh, man, listen, I've been a skateboarder, a snowboarder my whole life. Getting old, wait till it happens to you, big shot. Getting old is a different game. I got arthritis in my blood, and I never fully recovered from COVID. Not only did I put on a good 40, 50 pounds since 2020, but I can feel the spike protein, and I've had the MRIs attack my liver. It's attacked a kidney. It's arthritis in my blood. It's a real different thing. I think just aging out is really a different thing altogether. But then when you throw in COVID, I've had long COVID at least twice. I mean, multiple months where foggy brained, all kinds of health issues that I didn't have, that came out of fucking nowhere. So, and I used to be a heavy drinker, so I knew I had a doctor warn me about my liver. And then I have this iron overload. It's called hemochromatosis. Hemochromatosis is iron overload. So it doesn't happen in women because they're usually menstruating. And they're more anemic, right? You always hear about elderly women. They need iron. I have way too much iron. My body absorbs 100 times more iron than it should normally. And then it crystallizes in my joints, crystallizes in my body. So I went like 10 years without a diagnosis, just having all of these bizarre symptoms and shit. He says, I'm feeling it already, bro. Hey, listen, I'm 54. So, you know, but I hate people that whine about old age. I'm honored. I thank God I'm still standing. You know, the Elton John song, I'm still standing after all these years. I mean, Elton John's a little questionable, but that song, I hear that song in my head now at 54. And I give thanks to God because I've had multiple near-death experiences. I should have been dead several times, including at 18. I was hospitalized for 4 weeks, something that attacked my heart. And, you know, God and the Holy Spirit came into that hospital room and said, you know, get up. I was 17, 18 years old. Get up. You're healed. I got up. I pulled the shit off my chest and I walked out. And I go, nowhere, you can't go yet. I'm like, oh, I can't go. God told me to go. I'm going. They still don't know exactly what that was. It was some sort of weird infection. I think I got it from the Rocky Mountains. Because I think I had Lyme disease and it was undiagnosed. I would spend my summers backpacking all up Sawtooth. My dad lives up in the North Panhandle, up at Sandpoint, Idaho, Lake Pend Oreille. Anybody knows Idaho? Beautiful fucking country. It's going to snow there this weekend. Summer snow in Idaho. That's not global warming, Mr. Senator Bernie Sanders. That's called global freezing, boss. Yes, I know there's a heat dome over EU and 50 people are dead drowning because they don't know how to swim. Wait, what? 50 people drowned in France because they don't know how to swim? Learn to swim, guys. What does that say about the European Union? But I was up there, and the thing that you get is ticks. So I'm going back 40 years. 40 years we were battling those weaponized ticks. 40 years the Department of Defense had weaponized ticks. 40 years ago. So I look back and I'm like, there was a lot of health issues that came out of those early years as I was backpacking all around those beautiful, that's the most beautiful country in the world, or at least the country. The beautiful state, beautiful part of the country, man. So anyway, enough about all that. Let's get back into the analyzing the politics and the ideology, should we? Let's get back into that. Because, okay, I missed one here. Even in the New Mexico area, this is Vash. Even in the New Mexico area, they are for once starting to actually research stuff, yet cut off all people, not tribal. Interesting. That is very interesting. Yeah, I skateboarded for years. I was a pretty good skateboarder. And snowboard, I love snowboarding. I preferred it over skiing. I was never much of a skier. I didn't do a whole lot of it because I didn't have a ton of money to go up and do all that. But I had a board. I had a couple different boards. I mean, I liked it. I liked snowboarding. Timberline Lodge, that's our mountain at Mount Hood, Timberline Lodge. My great-great-grandfather helped build Timberline Lodge. I'm a part of the Clark, Lewis and Clark family. The Clark, my grandmother is Clark, maiden name. But Mount Hood, you get snow up there and all year round. So for the most part, it's been a pretty bad year this year. It's been limited, but there's parts of that area that the Olympians would come in and train. We saw them up there a couple times having drinks with them at the lodge. They will come up because there's not very many places they can ski and train in the U.S. So the some of these skiers, that one, I can't remember her name, but anyway, I digress. The issue that I have, and this is back on the America First, all right? So we need a populist type of coming together like that. And that's what the messaging was. I mean, if you don't have Trump derangement syndrome, if you were paying attention to what was happening, there was a cultural shift where rappers, some of them well-known, were writing rap songs and doing music to Trump, for Trump, MAGA, lowriders, with their little lowriders, and they're doing these videos, and I was like, whoa. Whoa. I don't know how the hell that happened. It happened. And so that renewed my faith in that younger generation. And so I think there's still some hope, but I'm very, very concerned about the framing. I feel like it's a manipulation of the younger generation's psychological well-being. When you're telling them that socialism and communism is cool and it's achievable, and we're going to do that here in New York, or we've got DSA operatives in city council, young people down in Portland. And so I saw in 2020, there was anarcho-communist DSA umbrella that were burning down Portland. They were setting fire to the police stations, literally burning down Portland. 2020. They were burning down the country, but Portland was leading that trend. And I developed a lot of resentment towards my neutral opinions about anarchists that I had been around in Portland my whole life. And they were using this DSA umbrella. It's not a party. It's not a third party. So I knew right away it was a con. It's a grift. And they had caucuses. So they were like, there's an anarchist caucus. There's a libertarian caucus. They were doing all this crazy fucking shit rather than actually developing a real viable third-party path. Because I'm a third-party guy. We used to have ballot access. I'm not even sure. I've been so far away from Pacific Party here in Oregon, Pacific Green Party, because I left the Greens. They're not even green anymore. It's completely insane. And it's collapsed. It collapsed because of the identity politics. Nationally, it collapsed. I was a delegate nationally from Oregon, representing Oregon for years. I was in deep. So I know third-party struggles. I know what we have to do. We have to run candidates to get 3% of the vote, at least. And we're in a deep blue, liberal, Democrat Portland. So we'd have to pull that to maintain ballot access. So there's a struggle, a life and death political struggle that comes with third-party politics that I've lived. It was my life. I breathed it. It was my bloodline. And so when I'm resentful, when I see people like DSA coming out and saying, "Oh, we're socialists," and it's like, no, you're not. You're a communist of some kind because you want centralized structure. You want to destroy America. You have this racist view of that white people and all white people are oppressors and slave masters and bad guys, bad people, right? They still say this. We're still hearing this messaging coming out, like Joy Reid and all these people that are still coming out with this divisive wedge instead of finding common ground, right? This populist common ground, because we have a lot more common ground, except if we can get out, which they were not going to walk away from the language and terms of DSA and the term of socialist. They're romanticizing it. They don't know that communism, they don't care, really, that communism has killed hundreds of millions of people globally. You got the Bolsheviks have taken over New York. You got Lenin and the Bolsheviks, Stalin, all of these starvation. Mao killed 80 million people himself. Maoism. They're not teaching that in the schools. They're not teaching that in these political circles. They're telling them, we want free rent. You're going to get free college. You join us, we're marching for free college. Remember that free college mantra? And then Biden offered free college, right? What time is it? 9:20? They offered, oh yeah. And then Biden said, oh, we're going to give you free college. And the courts said, no, that's illegal. You need to have that come from Congress. You can't just come in with an executive order and then forgive trillions of dollars. I've got $50,000 in student loans myself. I went to college for the first time when my daughter was born in right around 2012, because I was an art gallery guy. I was an artist. I was outside of doing social service type stuff and different carpentry type things. But so I've got student loans, but that I'm not going to advocate for something that doesn't make sense. And it's not even legally possible. But at the same flip of the coin, and one of the things that I was telling conservatives in their messaging is that there is programs that legally forgive student debt. There is programs there. If you do several years of nonprofit work, your loans will be forgiven. How do you think teachers get their loans forgiven? Those programs, they exist. But instead of Biden saying that and saying, go out and help your community, go out and join a nonprofit nurse, whatever. I was thinking nursing, teachers, what else is there? I mean, there's lots of, if you give back to the community, after a certain amount of time, you have to fill out the paperwork. It has to be done appropriately, but there's an avenue to do it. So you're encouraging people to become functional, productive citizens and patriots of our great country as a collective whole. Instead of doing that, they came in and promised him something that he couldn't give, and then gave it to him to have it ripped away because it was not legal, and the courts shot down Biden's free college bullshit. So that's a perfect example of manipulation that they do to these young minds. Bernie Sanders did the same fucking shit. Rep AOC does the same fucking shit. Zoran Mondani is doing the same fucking shit. He's promising all this stuff. He's promising free sex reassignment. Gives free gender care. Yay. You get free subways. He promised free public transportation. That didn't happen. That isn't going to happen. He's backed away from it. Everything on the campaign trail, he was promising free sandwiches at free communist bodegas on every corner of New York. You remember that? Zoran Mondani, the great smiling, bong-hit-eyed, smiling Islamic communist. And everything about Islam is communist because it's centralized. I mean, you know what it is, but they're not being totally honest about it, in my opinion. In fact, they're being very deceptive. And so I was in that chat on NBC. I was getting along with I was flipping the script on all these DSA people celebrating on the election vote numbers coming in. And so I was flipping it, and NBC kept timing me out. I wasn't arguing. I was coalition building. And NBC, those corporate operatives, whoever the fuck it was, however it was happening, they were timing me out and then blocked me from chatting. But I was saying things like, we have common ground. But you have to drop that socialist framing. This is NBC, right? It's not somebody's independent channel. I'm talking about mainstream fucking MSNBC type of chats on YouTube. But we have common ground. We don't want, most of the population does not want AI data centers. Gabstar, hi Gabstar, good to see you. Gabstar 86. We're not for this AI data centers sucking our water. We're already running out of water in Utah, Nevada. You had that billionaire O'Leary comes in and goes, yeah, I'm going to build a whole new city. And I'm going to take all your free water. It's going to be AI data center. And it's going to be the greatest thing you've ever seen. Mr. Wonderful, from the Shark Tank, O'Leary. Oh, it's going to be the greatest data center. And the people were like, you what? Get the fuck out of here, buddy. Capstar, good God. So the people are against. And then with a couple of these high-profile type of proposals, all of a sudden we were able to pitch that out on social media that, hey, these are all over the country. As a matter of fact, we've got Facebook's in Oregon. Facebook's out by the Dalles, sucking up the water out of the Dalles. The Dalles don't have much water. The Dalles, they got the Columbia River, but, I mean, as far as drinking water, and it's dry, and it's like, wait a minute, what's Meta doing out there? What's Facebook doing? What do they really want to do with all these AI data centers? You do ask, do say, and do say. You gotta drink some water, buddy. You gotta drink some water. So that I'm pulling out these common threads. There is these common threads that we have. We don't want war. The same messaging hearing from DSA. Now they are particular saying, their messaging was, well, this is all about American workers. That's what we're doing. We're fighting for American workers. Palestinians are not American workers. No. You're doing a lot of things, and it's not for American workers. So be honest. Okay? Socialists are wanting to control the means of production for the profits. Controlling the profits, controlling the means of production. That's what I was doing with art collectives on a small scale in our private free market monthly gallery show, Art Collective, in capitalism. That was capitalism, but we were doing our kind of a little bubble. I don't call it socialism because I hate that term. I hate that word. But an art collective is a social co-op A cooperative, a farming co-op, is also, it's a form of controlling the production and the means. Communism is what these guys are doing. This is what they're really wanting. They want to come in and destroy capitalism. They're fighting capitalism. They've got people in a social engineered race war believing that white people should be killed. White people are killing them. So they got to kill the white people first. And that's how we do this revolution. So we're going to open the borders and flood it up from strangers from all over the world. And then we're going to loot all the wealth, all the rich, wealthy people's money, and really, ultimately, the middle class, too, who are just getting by. We're going to take their money, too. And then we're going to redistribute that into whatever welfare benefits. Biden did that. It's basically what they did for a couple of years. And that's not cool. That's not okay. It's not okay. We don't have a healthcare system that takes care of our aging population right now in the United States. The people, without any more visitors, we're all full. Without any more visitors, we don't have functioning healthcare in America. So you can't just say we're going to do healthcare for everyone and then tell people that, and then think you're actually going to provide a clinic and a nurse or a doctor to see them as a caseload? No, that's a lie. That's the DSA Psyops that wins elections. This DSA messaging of we're with you, you disgruntled youth who can't afford to pay your rent. It's insane. I can't afford to pay my rent. Who can't afford college, who can't afford gas, can't afford groceries. Many people still living at home. I don't think that's a bad thing, but a lot of people don't want to live at home. But I actually think the multi-generational housing, that's a cultural thing throughout Mexico. That's a cultural thing throughout the world, is the younger generations living together. You got 3 or 4 generations in one house. And the elderly are taken care of. And they are there to do their portion, whether it's babysitting or hang time, family bonding, whatever it is. I actually see that as like kind of a wonderful utopian family restructuring. But I know that's easy to say because I'm starting to age out, right? To the young folks, they're like, no, boss. No. We want to live by ourselves. We want to party by ourselves. We want to have our own space. We want our slice of America. And I hear you. I understand that. I understand that messaging. And it's okay. It's understandable. You don't need to be justified from me. I'm not trying to be like, condescending or any weird shit like that. But it's just, I'm empathetic to it. I understand that. Even though I'm a different perspective, I'm kind of like, I'm more interested in interacting and helping people, spiritual changing hearts and minds my whole life. I would rather work for peanuts, and I did, in shelters to connect with people and see if I can spiritually change their trajectory. Get them to get off of heroin. I lost a number of cases, a number of youth to heroin overdose. Suicide was huge too, downtown Portland, where there's abuse, there's psychological damage, there's despair. They couldn't afford an apartment, and there was really nobody there to help them except for one, or it was like Outside In and Janus Youth Programs. That's who I was employed with for a while. And I worked for Salvation Army for a while at Greenhouse. There was like just a couple of different agencies that did develop. But when I first started, there was nothing there, man. It was bare bones. And they're just getting savaged. I mean, these teens were sex workers really quick. I would see people come out of the suburbs, healthy young girls, teens, and running away or pushed out, thrown out sometimes, but usually it was runaway. And within a couple of months, they were using drugs. They were selling their bodies under bridges of Portland, and then dead. either through suicide or someone killing them. And that'll change you forever. When you get into working with people like that, you see the spiritual warfare, because that's evil. Anybody that's a predator on young people, especially teens, any age, that's demonic. It's evil. It's spiritual. It has to be rebuked. You can rebuke it in the name of Jesus. You can rebuke it in whatever it is you want to rebuke it. Or you don't have to rebuke it in a religion, if you don't want to. Like Vash was saying, he goes, I don't have a religion. But it needs to be rebuked, and you can see that happening, and it's still happening, and we still have human traffickers. I mean, that's what Biden was doing, is flying in. Where do you think all those children went? Where did the children go? I mean, they're just gone. 20 million people, 10 million children from Guatemala and all over the world just flown in, Catholic Charities. To where? To who? Somebody adopt them? Does somebody eat them? I mean, they become some sort of Epstein fucking sex death cult, beef jerky or whatever their code words for grape soda or whatever the fuck. Where did they go? Where did the children go? Where did Biden's children go? And you have all these people with Trump derangement syndrome like, oh my God, he's separating children. Yeah, that's because they're with traffickers at the border who are not their family. What do you want to do? What would you do? You're going to fly them in to the States? To who? It's heartbreaking. And that happened. That was Biden. That was Democrats. Because they needed indentured labor. They'll say, they're like, well, who's going to pick our crops? You guys, who's going to clean the toilets? Who's going to do this stuff? You hear these Democrats on the fucking Senate floor. You hear on CNN. They're not hiding it. They need cheap indentured labor. And then they need young whatever to do whatever the fuck they're going to do. Which is sick. It needs to be rebuked. But, and listen, it's not pretty that you're separating youth, that Trump's separating them at the border either. I personally, as a youth advocate for a long time, I worked as a youth advocate, residential counselor, crisis counselor with youth. It's better to separate them from whoever's brought them in that's not their family. So, but then what? You're not going to house them forever. I mean, can they tell where they went, where they came from? How are you going to connect them without a caseworker? How are you going to connect them back to Guatemala? There was a lot of these young people that kept coming out of Guatemala, and I was like, what the fuck is going on with Jill Biden? Jill, his wife, Jill, directly involved in this group, flying. Not train, not bus, not car, not walking in caravans that we saw all along the news. Airplanes. Catholic Charities as a main target. Airplanes. Flying them in. So that's fucked up. That's really fucked up. And then they actually found in Gavin Newsom in California, they found children working in marijuana farms. In Gavin's friends' cannabis farms, one of the raids had children working as indentured labor, slaves, children in Gavin's friends' cannabis farms in California. That's a fact. That actually made the press. That's not hush hush top secret. That one actually made mainstream press. How many did we not read in mainstream press? Okay, so I digress. This is the kind of shit that bothers me deeply. And then when what this whole Trump derangement syndrome, where they're blaming Trump like he's doing something wrong by securing the border and preventing children from being trafficked and disappearing into the states, they're still happening because of the sanctuary state status. We have here in Portland, we have these sex stings, these prostitute stings out here on 82nd. Where they're finding children that are sex workers here. I mean, it's like, oh, duh, dude. It's right hidden in plain sight. And this is because they're being protected under sanctuary state status. See? that sanctuary state status is protecting drug cartels, human trafficking, and children, young teens. I'm calling teens children. I shouldn't do that because they're teens. They're young adults, but you get my drift. So my whole point was there is that this is dark and it's happening and it's multi-party. So my biggest takeaway, I'm going to try to wrap this up. It's an hour and 15. My biggest takeaway from the elections in New York is we're seeing more of the psychological operations, the manipulation of the youth, the programming, whether it's hypnosis. I don't even know if it has to be that deep. It's simply taking people that don't have their slice of the pie. They can't afford rent. They can't find jobs. Where are the jobs in New York? I mean, it's very limited. Rent's out of the world. I'm living that here in Portland. I know damn well the rents are totally unaffordable. Good point. Mankind is losing every election. ID Wonkin? Nobi? It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like that. I like that. Oh, it's L? Yeah, what? Good. Thank you for that. Mankind is losing every election. We are. We are. And that's the other mantra that I encounter. It's like, oh, you got to vote harder, bro. You got to vote harder. And it hurts me because I understand people are checking out. I understand people are like, who the fuck do you want me to vote for, bro? You want me to vote for the blue team child sex offenders or the red team child sex offenders? Which team, bro? Vote harder, bro. And it hurts me because that's how we're going to lose the country. The way I see it playing out, first let me backstep and just say, I got so many thoughts. I don't know how I'm going to conclude this. I'm just racing. I actually see, and I know this sounds a little crazy, so sometimes I do what I call crazy bro shit. I say crazy bro shit. Okay, whoa, that's some crazy shit, bro. I see us heading into a second round of an American Revolution. I don't want that. Okay? I don't want that. But I see a couple of different sides, including DSA. They want that revolution. They're actively participating in that American Revolution. They're programming their voters for that revolution. Kill Whitey, kill the white man, kill the cops. I still see that kill cops tagged all over Portland. I'm sure it's all over New York. Now they're saying kill ICE. What the fuck is wrong with you people? You say you're for American workers. Who the fuck do you think DHS is? Who do you think ICE is? Who do you think the local police are? You think they're rich? You think they're rich dealing with the abuse they deal with? No. They're making $60,000 a year, $80,000 a year. They're paying rent. They can't afford to buy a house in Portland either. Those are the workers. That's the hypocrisy of this Islamic communism, anarcho-communist, I don't know what you want to call it. They're attacking and trying to kill, and in some cases killing, as we saw in Texas with that dozen of little anarcho-communist cell down in Texas that actually killed some ICE folks. They're actually attacking the workers of America, claiming that they're representing the workers. Not with me. You ain't going to get away with that shit with me. It's resonating with the younger generation and voters, especially New York, Los Angeles, Seattle, even Texas. Texas has got these. Utah. Oh my God. There's massive communist armed cells, groups that actually advertise, we're into weapons, we're in Utah, and we're communists. Come get us. Basically. That's who I think is lit up Utah. I don't think there was no lightning over Utah. Yes, there's been wind. Yes, there's been some dry conditions. Of course, that's the desert. Arizona too. California's half a fucking desert. It's dry. It's dry even when it's raining. It's dry. Come on. Don't give me that climate change shit. It's the fucking desert game. But yes, I'll acknowledge it is dry. Somebody is lighting those fires. And this is what we saw in 2020. So we see every fucking year, every summer, we see these arsonists that are trying to burn out the country. They come into Portland and they light fires all over Portland. They come into Oregon and they light fires all over our forest. It's not just some dipshit kicking over some campfire or some propane burner. I mean, there could be some of that on some little level. No, we catch them. These are actually, they are indicted and then they stand trial for arson. These are arsonists. The huge major fires down in California, they've found arsonists. They're literally burning our country. We're not only losing every election, my friend, they're burning down our country. Why? Because that is the platform. That's the American Revolution that they're preaching, and it's resonating. What that reminds me of is the British Redcoats. That's that revolt. You had the British redcoats that were in control, and then you had patriots that resisted, and it was a bloodbath. And we won. We beat the British. Or did we? I think we did. But I see that same type of thing. I know that's kind of a harsh comparison. Like, oh, bro, come on. Well, and I hate this is what's so difficult for me to say because I'm not a xenophobic or anti-Semitic. But it appears that we have not the British, but the Third Temple. The Third Temple has come over. They're now controlling Congress. Not trying to sound like a fucking, some sort of whack job. I'm just stating the facts. And it's being manipulated in New York as if this is who we have to harm. This is who we're fighting. These are the elites. And it didn't help, and it might be a part of why they tried to suppress the Epstein files, is because it's directly connected to Mossad intelligence. It's directly connected to that globalist operations, plural. I'm not saying that wasn't only them. There's British down there, and there was British MI6 and all. I'm not trying to say it was all this. Oh God, the news. That's why it bothers me so much with the Groypers and the Fuentes. Fuentes is a genius. I mean, everybody's like, oh, he's a dumb fuck. No, that kid's a fucking genius, and he's charismatic and influential. He's just making really bad mistakes, in my opinion. It's creating this kind of xenophobic, it's fueling people that are not well. For example, Montreal this week. We had an incel shooter take rifles up into a large Israeli community of Montreal, Canada, firing around and killing people. Some sort of manifesto. That story's quickly going away, which is always a red flag to me. When these mainstream things, if they don't hype it up into some white supremacist, fury and oh God, and then MSN will play it forever and ever and ever. It's a red flag to me. It's like, okay, there's something going on there they don't want to talk about, kind of like the trans shooters. Like they've totally suppressed all of that data where you put people on psychotropics, you put them on a bunch of hormones and a bunch of this. They have identity politic crisis, and they like weapons, and they think that they're really antisocial at that point. And they may not even be thinking about hating people, but they're going out and they're harming people. That is exactly the kind of thing that's being fueled by all of this Islamic communism in New York in particular. And I don't like that. I don't like how they brand this, and then you got the other side that comes in, the Third Temple, and says, "Oh, you're all anti-Semites," and then it's like all this crazy fucking bullshit. If we could stop with that, if we could stop calling everything anti-Semitic, if we could stop focusing on all of Israel and start using words like Mossad, the Mossad operatives, the IDF that's massacring. There's Orthodox Judaists in Israel that are putting their lives on line resisting the IDF draft because they're running out of soldiers with all these military operations. They're drafting the Orthodox Judaists, with the big black hats, the big hats, the Orthodox. They're resisting Bibi Netanyahu. They're resisting the IDF. This is civil war in Israel that's not being played out in the mainstream media. Fact. I've watched the videos here recently. It's a fact. And so it's not all da Jews, the gripers. Oh, you Jew this, you Jew that, da Jews. It's like, no, it's not the Jews. There's beautiful women. I know. I've had beautiful Judaist women who weren't like deeply religious and practicing, but it was their bloodline that I fell in love with and almost married. I consider them ex-wives, like I just opened this video with. They're wonderful, beautiful people. It's not all the Jews. It's not all white people. It's not all of capitalism that's the evil. None of that is true. That programming is going to create monsters. It is creating monsters because you have people that are not well, and they're picking that up, and they're picking up weapons, and they're doing horrific things to innocent, beautiful American people. That's not okay with me. I don't want the American Revolution that is coming. And I'm going to work every moment that I've got to de-escalate that. I want to de-escalate the social engineering race wars. I'm not with you guys. I may have common platforms on AI data centers. I'm a pro-peace guy. Okay? I've always been pro-peace. And we need to get along. We need diplomacy. We need to stop trying to blow everything up with nuclear warheads. Are you with me? Can I get an amen? We need to de-escalate this World War IV, I call it nuclear mutually assured destruction. Okay? And I feel like some of the Third Temple folks are fueling that as well. So we have all these little factions, some of them much bigger than others, that are pushing for the conflict. There is people that are like, we're way beyond. I hear this from conservatives, and it scares me. Conservatives are saying we're way past voting. We're way past elections. And Trump coming up and saying, I don't care about inflation. I don't think about inflation. I think about war. I think about nuclear warheads. I think about just blowing the shit out of Iran back into the cave ages because they can't have a bomb. Donnie, they've already got nuclear warheads, boss. Pakistan's got warheads. Everyone's got warheads. They're all loaded with nuclear warheads, boss. I don't know where you're getting your intel. It's not honest intel. I don't know if it's Mossad. Probably. I don't know if it's MI6. I don't know. CIA? The CIA? What? I mean, what? We have to de-escalate. And when we're using terms like socialism and communism, and we're using terms of calling Palestinians workers, they're not American workers. Even though I side with your cause, I side with your case, I side with humanity. Clearly, now, today, there's no question that the IDF and Mossad, it's not all the Israeli people. Half of Israel, marches around with rainbow flags and yay! They look a lot like Seattle. They look a lot like Portland. They're very, very liberal. They don't want war. Although some of them maybe a lot of them have been brainwashed into thinking, oh yeah, we got to fight Hamas or Hezbollah, which, Israel built Hamas. Bibi built Hamas to have a boogeyman. Hezbollah is another case, and I don't approve of any of that either. I'm not pro Persia. I'm pro Persia people. I'm pro everyone, not in the sense of where I'm pro IRGC or I'm pro some militant. I don't like the militant. I want to de-escalate the militant. And these DSA folks are fueling American civil war. Now, Zoran Mandami, right? I've been smoking bong hits all morning eyes. You know, he looks like, oh, I'm gonna do Cheech Marin. we're gonna bring you free Subway. Everyone gets a free sandwich from a state-sponsored bodega in New York. He smiles like a clown, right? He's got big cheeks like I do, and he's just his smile is just like, dude, quit. You just want to slap him. It's like, just stop smiling. Your fucking city's in despair. You got people stabbing people on the subways. Blonde girls being stabbed in the neck on the subway, you dipshit. Stop smiling. But, oh no, he's smiling. He's got lots of smiles. He's like the Joker. Zoran Mandami is the Joker, right? He's got a big fucking smile. And you see him up there, now he's the kingmaker. The good news is they're not going to go very far. I mean, the bad news for us is that we've got similar DSA operatives on city council. We've been able to contain them. If I can't get conservatives and people to, or anybody, independents, I'm independent. Although I do align with some conservative ideas because I'm so concerned and against this communist type of identity politics coup that wants to destroy America. It's delusional. It's not even practical. And it's not possible. We can't just open the doors and have 100 million people come in here and then we're going to do kumbaya and everybody gets free dental and a free nurse and you know, in a house, you get your free house and then Elon's going to provide a new $100,000 Tesla car. It's free. It's free. Come in. The door's open. No, man. Use your fucking head, DSA. Use your fucking head. And I'm not being critical. I'm more looking for your collaboration because we need you. We, the people, we need you. Not with one party. I'm not voting one way or I can just, even I am becoming cynical on voting at all, but we can't give up on it because it's, as Malcolm X said, it's ballots before bullets. Not that I have bullets. Not that I'm encouraging that. You know fucking damn well if you've been listening to me, that's exactly the opposite of what I'm saying. I want to reach out to those Malcolm X loving Americans because I love you guys too. Ballots. Ballots, ballots, ballots. We're staying with ballots, okay? And we have strength in numbers. The duopoly wants the uniparty. Democrats, Republicans, whatever it is, weird type of third temple, redcoat British infestation taking over all kinds. Did you guys catch? Did you guys catch that they want to merge the Israeli intelligence and Israeli third temple IDF with American intelligence and American military? They want to marry the two identities in politics and come together. That's how we lose our country. So now you've got billionaires with the third temple and controlling Congress, controlling the military, controlling this, controlling that, influencing this, influencing that. And then we got nuclear exchanges in the Middle East because of this, because of that influence from the third temple. That is the recipe for American Civil War. That's American Revolution. And you know, I can just read people's, yeah, that's where we're at. Let's go. We're ready. Come get some. Come get some. We're waiting for you. We're waiting for you. And they are waiting for us. Us as a collective, the peaceful people, they're waiting. They're waiting. They want this. They want this. You call yourself left, doesn't mean shit. You call yourself right, doesn't mean shit. You're either for America, you're for free market, or you're not. If you're going to come in with force and try to take out the capitalists, that's civil war. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Stop telling the youth that that's the plan. Stop telling the youth that's the platform. Stop telling the youth that's what the election is about. because you're fucking up people. And they're probably already fucked up. You're triggering people is probably the better way to say it. You're triggering people that are already primed and ready and not well. That's my criticism at the core of this DSA little tsunami. Let's call it a tsunami in New York. But the good news is that's not going to last well, not going to do well. I don't know how long they're going to do it in New York, but it's not going to do well around the country. But it still doesn't matter because it doesn't take very much to spark that kind of resentment and that type of massacre. Every single weekend, I follow a lot of news. I'm kind of a news hound. Every single weekend for almost the entire year, there has been massive carnage and massive shootings. Often, it's communities of color. Chicago shooting up communities of color all over. Universities, there was Howard, it's all over. Texas, every single weekend. There's carnage. Where is the humanity in our country? What would drive those young minds to pick up weapons and shoot up their neighborhood or their communities or there are other people that look just like them, whatever it is? What's driving that? It's that messaging. Kill ICE. Kill the police. Kill Whitey. Kill Whitey. I hadn't heard that in so long. I saw that tag in 2020 in downtown Portland. That's how I knew we were in trouble. Kill Whitey. What? What the fuck? I haven't heard that since it was like half joked about in the 80s. Like, and there was people saying that. I was like, was it Eddie Murphy? Somebody on Saturday Night Live made a whole skit about, it's like, dead cracker, kill Whitey. It's like, whoa, everybody's like, ah, ha, ha. And I was like, what? That was a little edgy. But I digress. So it's the whole term socialism is being abused. It's not accurately being represented. It's not the real plan of what's going on. And even Bernie is saying, like, we got to fight the oligarchy, Rep AOC. She's probably going to run in 2028 for president. She's even fight the oligarchy. Well, you guys are millionaires now. So you have millionaires now saying fight the billionaires? That sounds like Civil War II, doesn't it? A little bit, maybe just a little bit. You got Bernie Sanders, a millionaire, 4 or 5 mansions now. You got Rep AOC from bartender, had no idea what the fuck's going on. She's now got millions of dollars. Where'd that come from? Everybody gets into Congress, like all of a sudden they're rich. You notice that? How long do you think it's going to take for these DSA operatives representing New York before they're, shifting and just like Rep AOC, now she thinks Israel's kind of cool or they're okay, but we can change them. She was totally, completely reversed on Israel. Maybe it's good. I don't know. They need to hear some other messaging other than, let's kill the third temple. That ain't going to help. Yeah, I know we're in trouble, but that's why I'm saying I'm making an appeal. We have more common ground to come together. There is an umbrella there, and we can call it America First, and we can take that, which we are, and the MAGA is gone. There is no Make America Great Again. It's been co-opted by MAGA, and that change happened about 6 months ago. Okay, if you don't know that, just take it from me. All right, I'm independent lens, political activist, I don't know what you want. I don't even know what. I'm a spiritualist. I'm a philosopher. Why, yes, I think very deeply. Why, yes, I think very deeply. Isn't that, was that Beastie Boys? So America First is still standing. What I predict, and this is kind of what I'm trying to manifest as I talk, is that I think we can purge out, I call them Israel only. The people on mainstream media is calling it Israel First. On social media, it's Israel Firsters instead of America First. It's really Israel only. This is Israel only crowd, meaning that it's only Israel. All things are Israel. And if you're not with that, you're a traitor, you're a communist, you're a pawn scum, you're un-American, and we're going to attack you. And as we saw with Rep Massey, the peach farmer, we're going to drive you out of Congress because you dare to challenge our authority. Okay? That's who we've got a coalition to build with, is the Masseys. And anybody else on that other side, we have to drop the language socialist. It's not socialism anyways. Drop that. And we have to obviously stay away from the word communism. Anything communism, anything socialist, we're going to lose all those independent moderates, the American firsters, who have great pride in fighting for America and helping take care of American needs, not sending hundreds of billions of dollars to even Iran. Well, Iran's different because it's really their money. That's a whole other argument. Everyone's like, oh my God, we're sending all this money to Iran. You know what, guys? It was their fucking money. Trump shit for brains, Captain Homer. It's their money. It's Iranian money. It's their fucking money. We're not giving them anything. It's returning their stuff or their cash. It's their fucking oil. I mean, it's just this shit for brains operation of this hijacking of the Israel only crowd. And we're way past Trump. Listen, Captain Homer, you've got to get out of your little gerbil brain. This is way beyond Trump. This is way past Grandpa at 80 years old, clearly showing dementia. Okay? We're way past Trump, buddy. Get caught up with us here, okay? Trump shit for brains. Get caught up here. All right? Trump's not the problem. Our problem is way beyond Trump. Okay? And I don't know exactly what the pivot was with him. I can guess. But he's trying to pivot back. And we're seeing J.D. Vance is now, a lot of people don't like him because of the Palantir and Peter Thiel. And I understand those objections. I'm not an AI data center guy. I'm not a technocrat, man. I'm a spiritualist. How could a spiritualist be a technocrat? Fuck no. We're total opposites. But there's common ground. We have to come together. One of the proposals, and if Captain Homer's an activist, or maybe you're just a drunk gamer, you just came stumbling through in between games, what I would like to see, what I propose to, DSA doesn't exist. Whoever the fuck you guys, okay, DSA. What we can do together is, remember the No Keystone Pipeline? You remember that? Where it went nuclear. Well, that's a bad choice of words. It went around the world several times. The protest, peaceful protest. And that was just over an oil pipeline. I want to plant the seeds into that same type of peaceful resistance. We can do that same occupation. I don't know exactly which one. Texas has got there's a whole bunch of inks down in Texas that instead of attacking ICE, stop with that shit. Just stop. Stop targeting ICE. Stop targeting DHS. Stop fucking just stop talking about open border nonsense. It's bullshit. Think about America. Think about your country. Think about your state. Think about your county. Think about your block, your neighborhood, wherever the fuck it is. Whatever you connect with. Think about that. We can redirect this homicidal, sociopathic inks. Smells like Teen Spirit, as Nirvana would sing. And put that into a constructive, peaceful occupation. You occupy the site peacefully. Not against police, not against ICE, against the populist AI data centers. AI data centers are going to be the demise of our sovereignty and independence. If you thought a pipeline was important, yes, I don't want to minimize. It was going over Native American. You have no idea how I know American Indian movement people. John Trudell, a personal friend of mine, before he died, I made him chicken livers and bacon and grilled onions with his son counting coup. My sister's friends with them. John Trudell, the John Trudell, it was a friend of the family. Okay? I'm not trying to minimize the Native American dynamic of that pipeline going over the water is life. Water is life is a perfect wraparound into fighting the AI data centers. They need the water for cooling. Everyone's like, oh, they're not going to use water. Oh, and then the other guys come out. Oh, I think it was O'Leary in Utah. First of all, stop lighting fires. You're not helping anybody lighting fires. Stop. Go stop. But that peaceful occupation of that water, and then they're saying, oh, well, we're going to recycle the water. So we're going to contaminate it with whatever the fuck, sulfuric fluoride acids, whatever the fuck they're going to do to that shit. And then they're going to send it back into, so they're not actually taking your water, guys. They're not taking your water. They're going to return it. And you can grow turnips and broccoli and kale and whatever your little vegan little yum you need to grow and eat. You know, your little pumpkin squash, whatever the fuck it is. Whatever the fuck it is, you can just grow it right there with their recycled water. I call bullshit on that. And we're here in Oregon, we have Governor Tina Kotek that has declared a state of emergency for drought, which is total hysteria. We've had atmospheric rivers coming in all through winter. I follow all this shit because I know these guys are lying sacks of shit. Yes, there's some dry areas. It's the fucking desert. What do you think Bend, Oregon is? It's fucking high desert. Have you ever been there? Tina Kotek or any of these goddamn fucking Democrats that are talking about dryness and drought? It's the fucking desert in Eastern Oregon. We're a temperate rainforest over by the ocean, all the way up into the valley. We get 5 inches of rain some days. Atmospheric rivers. Tina declares a state of emergency to push climate change. It's climate hysteria. You got Bernie Sanders today. Oh my God, you guys are insane. Hundreds of people are dying in France because of the heat. Now, 50 people drowned because they don't know how to fucking swim, dumb nuts. In France. It's 100 degrees for 6 months in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Utah. Where the fuck are you guys been? But if they're going to declare a drought, my point is we've got data centers sucking water all over the state of Oregon. Facebook is in the Dalles. Google is all over the fucking state in Oregon. So trying to tackle that that's already been constructed is not recommended. And I'm not saying that. I'm thinking more of like the no Keystone pipeline, where it was peaceful before it was built. It was a preventive, peaceful occupation. And it helped to have the Native American tribes on there, although they betrayed the cause and actually sold out in the end. But in a way, I followed that very, very carefully. But I'm saying that same type of structure, that same type of positive messaging. Stop attacking federal workers. You say you're for workers, then stop tagging you want them dead. Stop saying you're going to kill people that are just simply here taking care of people's immigration. You know, the insanity and stupidity is so. I'll digress for 1 second here. Downtown Portland, they've been fighting down there and threatening to kill officers, attacking officers. One guy's going to prison for a long time because he threw a rock right down at McAdam. That's not a holding facility. That ICE is an administrative building. That's where people here in Portland that are migrants go to get their paperwork to become citizens. It's an administrative building on McAdam, folks. Hello? Nobody's listening because they're so fucking Trump shit for brains, TDS out of their fucking minds. Like Captain Homer here. That they're not thinking clearly. And it's, kill ICE, get them, ICE, oh God, no, you fucking goofballs. That facility is how we have people become legal citizens of Oregon. How they become citizens of America. It's called an administrative building. The facility that is long-term holding is in Tacoma. I know because I had an Australian friend in jail up there for several months about 15 years ago, Marco. I don't know what the fuck happened with him. He got all swept up in some weird shit. I think he finally married somebody and got citizenship. He's a pretty cool dude, metal sculptor guy. But that's how I first learned about Tacoma 15 years ago because I had a friend that was in there for several months in jail. Okay. That's not what McAdam facility is about. That's not what it is. You guys are barking up the wrong fucking trees because you're dressed as pink unicorns and inflated frog fucking Halloween costumes out of your minds. Stop with the bullshit. What the fuck, pink unicorns? Tim Johnson survives. Yeah, the pink fucking unicorns. I mean, you know these guys are really thought this one out when they're dancing around in pink rainbow unicorn inflatable outfits. And they're in Pepe, the right-wing Pepe the Frog inflatable costumes out in front of ICE. You know they've thought through that when they put on Pepe, right? You know the frog is right-wing symbolism of Pepe the Frog. So they're not thinking this shit through. Stop with this bullshit. De-escalate. Trump has de-escalated, okay? Although he just got a new court order and the court said he could do some things, so there may be a little shift, but let's not heat that up. What I propose is let's get focused. Carpe diem. I love carpe diem. I say it all the time. Seize the day. Hang on. Let me finish this thought. Carpe diem. Stay with me. Stay with me. Let's come together as the Keystone Pipeline came together. It was libertarians. It was Democrats disgruntled. It was Republicans. It was conservatives. It was tribal. There was Christians. We all came together as one for a brief time. It was actually several months, right? How many years was that? Was it a year? It was quite a while. And I always thought it was like, really? Is this where we're at? You know, it's like, I mean, I don't like pipelines either. I don't want any fucking pipelines. Why? Because they wanted the pipelines so Canada can make a bunch of money. Trans-Canada. I don't like fucking pipelines. Fuck the pipelines, okay? I'm not an anti-fossil fuel guy, though. We are, and I am, including myself, we're against this mass national AI data centers. And you have to be very careful because they're going to try to make it look like it's some sort of massive, anarchist, crazed fucking thing. You can't have lunatics doing lunatic shit down there on a peaceful occupation. That'll fuck it up. That'll fuck it up because it'll give them just cause to come in and attack. People are going to get hurt. But with that said, if it's possible, I don't know if it is, but I'm trying to redirect this angst. And they've got plans. So first step, figure out where all of the AI data centers want to go. O'Leary wants to suck it all up out of Utah. That's the wrong fucking state to mess with. I don't want you guys going into Utah. There's plenty of armed communists in Utah. Stay the fuck out of Utah, guys. Stay the fuck out of Utah, okay? I'm thinking Texas might be better because you've got a lot of people down there that are all worked up and just fucking, they're lit. They're lit. Maybe Texas is a bad idea too. But find a spot. It may actually get to a point where there's a couple different spots where it's peaceful occupation, peaceful protester. You got a camp, you get the food coming in, you get your waters coming in, you're going to need some honey buckets. You know, you got to think about it. You got to think about what it takes to make an occupation happen. And then you get the press. Just think of the No DAPL Keystone Pipeline operation as is. Okay, so now that I'm rambling, you guys are saying things. I got some new people here. Tim Johnson. What the fuck? Pink unicorns. You know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, it's like, you know, I've been down there. I did some, check my channel here. I've got a couple of videos of me. I don't know if the pink unicorns are on there, but I went down there and filmed, and I joined the crowd like I was a buoy on the wave. So I just kind of like with the camera, I was going in on and they were all peaceful. Well, when I was there is what I mean. I've never, you know, I think it's silly, but I wanted to go down there and actually film what was going on. So like one time the first day, I've got some video down there. It's all over the world, these pink fucking unicorns and these frogs. I mean, it's like, what in the fuck? What kind of message is that sending? You're an inflatable frog? You're a team of inflatable frogs? Who told you that was a good idea? I don't know. Was that a good idea? I don't know. So carpe diem. I think the problem is when ICE agents drop off detainees 20 miles from home in the middle of winter and they die. Holy shit, has that happened? That should not be happening. That's totally, is that happening? I don't know. Wow. Did that happen in Minnesota? Jesus. I have intuition, but you don't have to, I always joke, you don't have to be a psychic gypsy palm reader, that's not even a thing. That's why I say it. It's not a thing. You don't have to be psychic to know that there's going to be bloodshed and there's going to be a gun battle, as we saw in Minnesota. I predicted that months before it went into fucking carnage. Because first of all, you've got people that are not well. And then you've got people that are so angry in thinking that Trump is somehow from World War II, which he's not. This guy's been a liberal Democrat his whole fucking life. I digress. But no, that's not okay. The ICE agents drop, it's about the lack of accountability and professionalism. Yes, carpe diem. I would never argue against that. Okay, and professionalism. How about the professionalism of the protesters bringing weapons to wrestle federal officers? That's not professional. Okay, that violates all the golden rules of what I've been trained to do in peaceful, non-violent protest. Bro, you're 2A. I mean, you're for guns. Now you're saying we can't bring guns? Yeah, you can. You obviously. I didn't say you couldn't. I didn't make any hypocritical statements about being for pro 2A. I'm saying don't bring guns when you're going to wrestle federal agents. How about that? Okay, that's very unprofessional. That's how people get killed. And that's how ICE agents get killed. And then you end up going into prison and you got your children or your child is no longer has a dad and it's all fucked up. For what? For what? Because you think the Gestapo from World War II is marching around in town? I'm sorry, I hate to minimize. I just don't see the guys. They're workers. DHS is workers. Border Patrol, they're workers. You say you're for workers. These guys aren't wealthy elites. Well, they're doing the work of wealthy elites. Okay. I can't argue with that. Crico Holler? Is it Chevy Holler? Crico cry, go holler. Carpe diem. What mental disorder do you suffer from? All right, come on, man. Come on. Come on. We're just trying to have a good. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm not just talking to myself. Carpe diem. It's happened multiple times. I don't suffer from a mental disorder, nor do I suffer fools. Absolutely. It's like I've studied psychology. I've technically was doing some psychology work for years. I try not to do that framing, and I'm sorry if I'm being insulting by laughing. That's our classic political environment. I get called crazy and insane and much worse every day on social media. I mean, and I'm not even really. Am I saying something that is, I don't know. Maybe it is kind of crazy. Maybe I am nuts. I don't care. But it's like, why are you going to attack me? Why do the straw man? Why do the ad hominem? And the reason that I say that in this case, because I do have people that threaten to kill me. I've had death threats for several years. I'm in Portland, guys. I'm dealing with fucking armed homicidal sociopaths, okay? I'm from Portland, all right? 50 years, all right? I know fucking mental illness, and I know anarchists, and I know violence, all right? There's a reason I'm still alive. There's a reason I'm still standing, because I'm smart enough to know, like Kenny Rogers, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to get the fuck out and walk away, right? But the reason that I say with Carpe Diem, I love that. Carpe Diem, seize the fucking day. There is no other thing you need to meditate on than the day. Carpe Diem, seize today, because tomorrow may not come. We're in limited days, folks. In the big picture of our civilization, we are very close to a nuclear holocaust with mutually assured destruction. That's not hyperbole, okay? I'm back, Oliver. Fernando Luna. Luna means the moon. Fernando, the moon, Fernando. Good to see you. I can't believe I'm still on. 2 hours is way too fucking long. It's only because you guys are chatting, that's all. Okay, and then Carpe Diem says, did I miss anything? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired. Okay, so Carpe Diem says it's happened multiple times. I think you presented that argument very well. Better than, it wasn't you. You weren't the one who came in and said, and I get this all the time. My feelings aren't hurt. Trump shit for brains. Trump shit for brains. You're calling me Trump shit for brains? Or, it's like, come on, all right. There's no dialogue. We can't even have a juicy, heated debate with that. If we're going to really take it up a couple notches, I love debate. I'm a damn good fucking debater, man. Not a master debater. No. I'm a good debater. You have to be able to stick to the talking points. That may have happened. And I have seen, I watched a lot of live streams, especially in Minnesota, and I saw some things that were questionable from the professionalism of DHS and ICE. But I also saw the majority of those guys, which I don't know why the fuck they would want to do that job. I would never fucking do that job. Why would I want to do that? Take so much abuse and just stand there like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz and not do a fucking thing. No nightstick, no taser, no chokeholds, nothing. Nothing like that. And that is a level of professionalism that I don't have. No way. I don't think any of us really are. If somebody's up in your face like that, it's like game on, right? That's what we used to do with bar fights. I look back in the 80s and 90s, and it's like, that's what we did. We didn't stab each other, although there's always that danger. We didn't shoot each other, although there was always people getting shot somewhere for something in Portland. But we were just like, let's go. It wasn't like we're going to call each other ad hominems and all this. It's like, let's go outside. Come on. And then, his guys step in and I got my guys, I don't drink unless I got my guys in the house. Okay. There's rule number one. You don't go into the place where you don't have your guys in the house. His guys step outside, my guys step outside, and it's on, right? It's completely insane and stupid. It's not even manly and masculine, but it's what we did. It's what we did, and it doesn't take too many hits, to knock somebody down or even out. I feel bad. The couple of people that I've knocked out with just like a couple of hits. I mean, like, I thought, oh shit, did I kill him? I mean, is he dead? I punched him. Like, I punched him so fucking hard. It's like, I thought I killed him. I don't want that. That's stupid shit. But my point is that why did I say that? It's like, that's the old way of doing things is we would duke it out. We don't, you don't stand there like 10 men and it's like, oh, thank you, sir. I'd like another. It's like somebody with a wooden paddle. You got anarchists with a wooden paddle hitting you. It's like who can take that? I mean, it's absolutely insane. I don't blame those guys for using gas down there at Macadam, although it choked out. I have friends in the apartments across the street. It choked them out. That gas was coming in and literally choking them out. It's like, oh my fucking God. But when you have people that are threatening to kill you and they're telling you they're going to kill you, they blew out the windows and they set fire to the station. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to stand your ground on some level, aren't you? I mean, think if you were them. I know you're not. I wouldn't do it, but if you were, Carpe diem, for the record, I'm not a peaceful person. I believe in vengeance. Okay, Carpe diem. I appreciate the honesty. I am a peaceful guy. Okay, I got a Zen. I like the cinnamon. I am a peaceful guy. I believe in self-defense, though. And I actually suffer from guilt from, the conflicts that I've had. I mean, I'm a pretty big guy. I know you guys were saying, oh, you can't jog. I just put on weight just the last couple of years. I'm a pretty good fucking street scrapper, man. I know how to fucking, people always aim for the head. You know what I aim for? The throat. I got one fucking punch. I connect in that throat. The guy can no longer breathe. He will drop on his fucking knees and sound like a dying pig. And then I'm like, whoa, fuck. Why'd you have to come at me like that? It's like, I'm serious. It's like, I let it all go, but it's kind of like, it wasn't Christian living, right? I mean, I was drinking and too many girlfriends and too much conflict. It was not a good time. That was 1994, 95, 96. It wasn't a good time for me. Fernando, I'll be right back. Where are you going? You gonna go get a beer? Getting a beer. Carpe diem. For the record, I'm not a peaceful person. Well, but are you a rebel? I mean, I don't know how much you want to say. We're on a live stream. Do you consider yourself like revolutionary? I mean, that's quite a statement. I think I know what you mean. I don't think you mean what could be misinterpreted. Because I don't wish harm on anybody. The only time that it's always self-defense. Okay? It's self-defense. If somebody comes at me or comes at, a girlfriend, I've had that happen a couple of times too. I've actually been clocked a couple of times trying to defend a girlfriend. And the guy caught me. I tripped on my back foot. I've actually been, I don't know why I'm talking about this. Because you're the violent dude, Carpe Diem. I actually got clobbered by, this is a funny story. I was 73rd and Powell. 2:30, beer 30 in the morning, right? I think I'm going in to pick up some Mike's lemonade or something. And I look out, I'm in buying it, and I look out the window. I'm in 7-Eleven, I look out, and I see this girl, big old bitch, punching the fucking crap. She's on top of this other girl. When I saw them when I came in, I was like, either prostitutes or they're waiting for coke is what it looked like to me. Because they had the big dilated eyes. You know, the coke girls have always got dilated eyes. The opiate girls, it's always pinned, right? It's always pinned. And so I'm loaded. I should have just fucking gone home and taken a nap. But that one last 7-Eleven drink, right? It's a famous 2:30 alcoholic fucking drink run before you go to bed. I was coming up from somewhere. I step out and I tap her. I just tapped her, I think. Or I don't think I grabbed her. I'm not totally sure. But she went ninja. This girl went from straddled and, I mean, blood squirting out of this smaller girl's face. I mean, it was bloody. It wasn't just like, I'm going to get you, like a bitch fight. You know, bitch fights where they're pulling their hair and pulling the weave out. It's like, you know, it's like, I'm seeing plenty of that. It was not a bitch fight. This was like full on fucking this was a kid. This was a hit. This was a fucking hit. This woman, this girl, I don't even know how old she was. She popped up with one pop. She popped up, came at me, and in mid fucking swing, as she's popping up at like a ninja, punched me right here on this arch. Almost cracked my nose. I thought my nose was cracked. I had a black eye for 2 weeks. And you know how humbling and humiliating it is? It's like, what's happened? Well, this girl jumped on me at 7-Eleven. Dude, I'm not going to lie. It was like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Oh, what happened? You got a war story? Well, this girl jumped on me and popped me right at 7-Eleven. I was... Oh, my God. The police came, and somebody had called it. I think the worker had called it on it, too, and took us both to jail. So I ended up going to jail. They take her to jail. And I'm like, listen, it's all on camera here. I just was trying to break up a fight, you know, foolish me trying to be the diplomat, walk in there and you know, try to get this girl off. I thought she was going to kill her. You know, anytime I see blood squirting out of the face, it's like, stop punching her like that. Boy, she didn't like me doing an intervention. That was brutal. The charges got tossed, and if it went to trial, I did have it on video. I went to 7-Eleven. I said, hey, listen, man, I got fucking sucker punched by that crazy bitch last night. Oh, yeah, we saw that on video. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You didn't do that. Motherfucker. Crazy times. Yeah, you know, that's why I quit drinking. You know, I really did. I just got tired of being punched by women, right? That's why I quit drinking. That comment wasn't for you. It was for the knucklehead who called my mental health into question. Like I said, I don't suffer fools. Best to let people know who they're dealing with up front. So carpe diem. Now that's a very common level-headed thing. You're starting to sound like how I'm presenting it, as in self-defense. You don't suffer fools. Well, the fool is the one that's in your face or threatening you with a knife. I had another guy. Well, I don't want to keep going on, but I was at a strip club, and this whacked out guy was popping in and was harassing one of the dancers. And again, why? Why did I have to be fucking Clint Eastwood? I step outside, and he pulls a fucking box cutter on me, flips out the blade, and he makes a swing on me. So I grabbed his arm, bam, you know, just boom, just like that. I was just like, dude, I go, you got a couple choices. You want to go to jail, or you want to go to the psych ward? Okay, because that's where you're going. You're gonna hit me, and I was like, you know, and he's like, oh, let's say, you know, he's speaking Spanish, broken Spanish, you know. So sorry. No, hombre, no, más. So, you know, and he left, and I just thought, what the fuck was I doing? Why would I even step out there? I mean, and tell this guy to leave the dancer. I mean, I'm not a bouncer. I'm just having a fucking drink, watching the tail around the brass pole, you know? It's like, I thought I could have fucking died. I mean, I don't know if I would have died. I certainly would have been scarred. And I've got a lot of scars. I got over here, I got over here, I got over here, I got over here. I got a lot of scars. So, you know, it's so stupid. It really is. So, Carpe Diem, I'm with you. We don't want to do that. We don't want to have crazed fucking cholos smoking the rocks with box cutters, right? I know I don't. I don't know about you. And I sure in the fuck am not going to treat a federal officer that way. Because federal officers will fucking cap our ass dead. Okay? You don't have to be psychic to predict. You don't have to be a psychic gypsy palm reader. You come at federal officers like that, and they're going to kill you. Okay? And they're going to say self-defense, right? So it's a dog-eat-dog world. All right, so we'll wrap it up here. Unless Fernando Luna comes back. In conclusion, if we can redirect into a common cause, right? So what we're doing doesn't look like we're attacking the workers of federal officers. We're not attacking DHS. We're going to let them do their job and remove the cartel members, because that's how it started. Is the raid started to remove the cartel members, the criminals, the rapists, the guys in our country that are raping our girls. Okay? I've got a daughter. Okay? I'm real sensitive to those fuckers that have been raping our girls for 4 years under the Biden administration. I'm tired of that. If you're going to come in and rape our girls, we're going to do self-defense on your ass. I'm not going to kill you, but we're going to torture you for a couple of hours, right? You're going to wish that you were dead, okay? Right? That's how it's going to go down like that. So don't rape our girls. If you're coming in the country to do that, I want those guys to make an intervention. The workers with badges to make an intervention, because their other results are going to be much more violent and much more aggressive from not me, but from about 45 million people that are very well armed in this country, right? We don't need a civil war. We don't need the conflict. What we need is a good old-fashioned kumbaya, peaceful occupation against our common enemy, Google, right? And Google, I'll probably lose this video by saying Google is the enemy, right? Because YouTube is controlled by Google, right? We know this, okay? It's the Google warlords. It's not Third Temple, although maybe Third Temple's in there somewhere. But it's Google. It's the Google military. And so it's a peaceful occupation. And I think that would be good press. It's much better than starting fires in Utah, which I'm pretty sure that's who's fucking lit up Utah right now and burning Utah to the ground. Don't do that. As your attorney, I advise you not to do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Peaceful occupation. And I would recommend, if you do like that idea, which I think it's a pretty good idea, do it on a land that is proposed, not built, not constructed. There's no structures. You're not occupying the building. It's a land. It's a piece of land or a proposed site or something like this. And I'm not sure how it would even make sense. Like, I know that the kids got all worked up with the Cop City in Georgia. I followed that one. That's a perfect example of how not to do it. Okay? Not setting ambushes for police. You're not down there with guns and weapons. No. Peaceful. It has to be peaceful to win the public's heart and minds. We're trying to persuade the heart and minds. It's already had ripple effects. For example, I just read in the press today, Washington County, right here in my neck of the woods, there's Clackamas County, Washington County. I'm in Multnomah County. Portland is 3 counties. It's a tri-county. Washington County at Hillsborough, they've now reached the Hillsborough City Council, and peacefully, Hillsborough is now revoking permits for AI data centers in Washington County. That's success, my friends. That's success. Not even self-defense is needed. You don't need that defense of self-defense. I pray to God that we don't have to go into court and fight for your self-defense, okay? We're going to avoid that. We're doing this through ballots. Malcolm X said, ballots first. Ballots. And we do that through the hearts and minds. Persuading these liberal fucking Democrats are easily persuaded when you lay out we're short on water and they're coming to take our water and they want the free electricity and they're going to jack up my electrical bill that keeps going up every fucking month. PGE raises my goddamn fucking bill and they're raising your bills because the AI data centers are going to suck all of our fucking electricity to cool those fucking data centers down. Right? Am I wrong? Can I get an amen? How many couple dozen I've got left in the room? Amen. Okay? Amen. So I don't know exactly how we want to manifest that. We don't want to do it Georgia style. We're not looking at Cop City fucking numbnut, knucklehead, anarcho-communists down there wanting to fight the fucking police. No. Wrong. They look like the devils. They're treated as Satan, and they're going to go to prison for a long time. Just like the Texas 12 that did an armed ambush on the ICE agents in Texas. They're all doing hundreds of years now. If you missed that press release, okay? Don't do that. Don't be these guys that are going to do prison in their 20s for 100 years. Wrong. Wrong. That's the wrong way to do what needs to be done peacefully. And that unification, why do I advocate that? Why would I spend 15 minutes talking about it? I actually see that as a unification of a populist movement. Data AI centers are the biggest fucking populist majority of dissent across all political spectrums. The normies don't want the AI data centers once you tell them what they're doing. Okay? And you do that through the press and the media. And if you're down there in an occupation, in a peaceful protest, on a peaceful proposed spot of where they want to do that, the press is going to be all over the fucking place. And you're going to go viral. Just like these dipshit cowboys a few years back down here in Oregon protesting cattle farmers that were protesting the FBI at Malheur Wildlife Refuge, okay? They fucked up because they had machine guns and they were there to do a gun battle. If they didn't have that, yes, they've got a right for 2A. Oh, they've got a right to defend themselves. All these fucking cowboys I call them sagebrush cowboys in Oregon. They want to actually go to Idaho. There's a whole movement, half of Oregon, all the counties want to go join Idaho. It's called Greater Idaho. They're leaving Oregon. I say, goodbye. Go. That's fine. Let's vote on it. Because I'll vote for you to go fucking join Idaho. I don't care. You can take the sagebrush in Eastern Oregon. That's fine. Go fuck yourselves. Okay? Just leave us the fuck alone. We don't want a civil war. You go join Idaho and go hunt sage grouse or whatever the fuck you guys do out there. But they did it the wrong way. The reason I bring them up is because that little, do a Google search if you missed that one, that little fucking occupation on a goddamn fucking bird wildlife refuge, a fucking wildlife refuge in a cabin on a wildlife refuge, went around the world, around and around and around and around, because the media was all over that occupation. And did they win hearts and minds? I guess on some people. They didn't unify anything. They didn't unify like the No DAPL, KXL, whatever that Keystone DAPL pipeline proposal was. They didn't unify like that did. But something like that, and then you've got people that are coming together, they're in an occupation, they're camping outside, doing a peaceful demonstration, and they're changing the hearts and minds, bringing attention to what the real AI data center plan is. Okay? It's not about Golden Dome. It's not about any of that shit. It's about surveillance, if you ask me. And it's about data collection, and it's about losing our sovereignty, and it's about losing control of our county, losing control of our state, one state at a time. So that's my pitch. That's all I'll say on that. Be safe, and no matter what you do, be nonviolent with what you do. Stop attacking workers, the federal government. Do a peaceful occupation. And let's change the hearts and minds of America. It's a hot button item. Going into the general election this year, and then 2028, it's going to be even bigger. So there's potential there. That's how we do that. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. God bless you. I'm gonna try to get some sleep. It's going on 11. It's way past Grandpa. It's bedtime. Good seeing you, Carpe Diem. Fernando Luna, thanks for coming down. Kryko Holler, if you're still around, God bless you too. Tim Johnson, Pink Unicorns are the enemy. Pepe, the inflatable frog. Listen, when they come out in frog costumes, give those people some space. They're not well. They're not well. When they're dressed up in inflatable frog outfits, you know something's wrong. You know something's wrong. You gotta give those people space and get the fuck out of there, right? Leave Pepe the Frog inflatables alone, right? Gabs, you too, you stinker, farting up the place. And Bash, good seeing you. I recognize your name. Thanks for everybody that subscribed. I appreciate that. And like, share. Be peaceful. God bless. Peace out.